Okay, Miss Reeves, for the record, can you state your name and the address where the vehicle was registered?
Sarah Reeves, 1147 Conning Street, apartment 4B.
And the vehicle in question is a 2049 Ascension Omega 40 SUV, correct?
Yes. Officer, look, this is the fourth time I can't keep
Yeah, I
it.
know, Miss Reeves. I have your file right here. Fourth theft of a vehicle registered to you in 18 months?
Yep.
You recovered the vehicle each time?
No, I recovered it twice. The other one was stripped before I could get to it. Insurance only covered part of the cost to replace.
And you installed the aftermarket system approximately 3 weeks ago?
Yes.
Did the installer provide documentation, registration, proof of compliance with municipal codes?
They said it wasn't illegal.
That's not what I asked.
No documentation.
Miss Reeves, I need you to understand something. This department processes between 40 and 60 vehicle theft reports per day. Per day.
I know.
We have 10 officers assigned to property crimes for the entire precinct. We can't respond to every GPS ping. We can't chase every automated alert. The system routes them, we log them, and if the vehicle turns up intact, we close the file.
I know.
So when people take matters into their own hands, when they install systems that aren't registered, that don't have oversight, we end up having to spend additional time figuring out what happened, meaning we can't help all the people following the rules.
I understand.
The vehicle was recovered at a secondary facility. We need to review the incident recording from the cabin system. Standard procedure for any aftermarket security engagement.
Do I have to be here for that?
Yes, ma'am. You're the registered owner. We need your statement on the record.
This was the fourth time. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep filing reports and waiting and hoping maybe I'll get it back in one piece. Look, I've got to get to work. I have to live.
I understand, Miss Reeves. Listen, the recording is short. Just bear with me. I'm going to start it now. My name is Marcus Webb. I want to be clear about something before I go any further. I didn't set out to hurt anyone. I wasn't trying to make a statement. I wasn't angry at her. I didn't even know her. This was a job. A bad job, an illegal job, but still just a job. The kind you do because the alternative is worse. My mom died 6 months before this. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4 by the time they caught it. She lasted 11 weeks after diagnosis. The bills started arriving before the funeral was over. I don't mean the funeral expenses. I mean the medical bills. Treatment she'd received. Scans, medications, 2 emergency room visits in the final week when the hospice referral didn't process in time. I thought they'd go to her state. I thought there'd be some process, some discharge, some line drawn under it. There wasn't. The Medical Services Continuity Act passed 7 years ago. It sounds reasonable when you read the summary. Maintaining treatment infrastructure, ensuring provider stability, protecting jobs in the healthcare sector. What it actually does is this. When a patient dies mid-treatment, the cost of care transfers automatically to next of kin as a state obligation with living guarantor status. The language is very specific. The healthcare providers, most of them consolidated into 3 major corporations after the merger approvals in '43, argued that patient death shouldn't mean revenue loss, that interrupting payment chains destabilized care networks, that medical infrastructure was too vital to the economy to allow debt discharge through death. They called it too big to fail healthcare. The bill passed with bipartisan support. Insurance companies backed it. Hospital networks backed it. The pharmaceutical lobby backed it. It made sense, they said, to protect the system. So now, if your parent dies mid-treatment, you inherit the cost, not as a choice, as legal obligation. The law assumes you benefited from their continued care, that every day they lived, even in pain, even without hope, had measurable value to you. So the debt transfers. $4,200,000. I made $20 an hour working freight logistics. That's a minimum wage now. It was $17 an hour when I started. It went up once in 20 years, but rent went up faster. Food went up faster. Everything went up faster. The middle class barely exists anymore. You either have enough money that none of this touches you, or you're one bad month away from losing everything. I'd already spent everything I had on her rent during the last 2 months when she couldn't work. I applied for hardship relief. I applied for extensions. I applied for everything the rep on the phone told me to apply for. Every one came back the same way. Pending review. Expected resolution, 18 to 24 months. In the meantime, interest accrued at 8.7%. My credit froze. I couldn't get a lease, couldn't get a loan, couldn't even get approved for a transit pass on credit. I started sleeping in my car. Then I lost the car, repoed for missed payments. That's when I started thinking differently about what was reasonable. The first time I stole a car, I was shaking so hard I could barely hold the scanner. A friend of a friend sold me the phone. It wasn't special, just a previous gen handset with the right apps loaded. Black market stuff. Gray market technically. Diagnostic software, bypass kits, module isolators. You plug it into the port under the steering column and it talks to the car's system like it's authorized service equipment. Most people don't know this, but cars have been running on networked systems for decades. Everything talks to everything. Door locks, engine control, GPS, biometric sensors. If you know what you're looking for, you can find the module that's yelling theft and tell it to stop. Sometimes you disable it, sometimes you spoof it, sometimes you just erase the alert and let the car think everything is fine. It's not hacking really, it's more like speaking the language the car expects to hear. The first car took me 40 minutes. I was parked 3 blocks away by the time I stopped shaking. I sold it to a chop shop contract for $11,000. Wasn't enough to make a dent in the debt, but it was enough to eat, enough to get a room for a week or two, enough to stop thinking every day about what happens when you run out of options. The second car took me 20 minutes. The third took 12. By the time I got to Sarah Reeves's car, I'd done this 16 times. I wasn't proud of it, but I was good at it. The car came from a list. My contract at the chop shop sent them out twice a week. Make, model, address, registered owner, sometimes a photo of the vehicle, sometimes just the specs. He had access to registration databases, insurance filings, lease agreements. I don't know how he got the information, and I didn't ask. The list was sorted by value and risk level. High value meant better payout. High risk meant better security, more attention, higher chance of getting caught. Sarah Reeves' 2049 Ascension Omega 40 was listed as a medium value, low risk vehicle. 3 years old, popular model, good resale value. Owner worked regular hours at a fairly high paying job. No security service contract on file other than the standard factory one. I've been watching the car for 2 days. She left work at 7:15 most mornings, came back around 6:30 in the evening. I wasn't thinking about her. I was thinking about the debt. I was thinking about the collections agency that had started calling my last known employer. I was thinking about the hearing notice I'd received about wage garnishment. I wasn't thinking about Sarah Reeves at all. I waited until 9 p.m. The neighborhood was quiet. A few people walking dogs, no one paying attention. A nice neighborhood. Her apartment was on the 4th floor. Lights were on. I pulled the scanner out of my bag and checked the model year against my phone's database. Factory security suite. Biometric recognition, GPS tracking, remote immobilization, automated law enforcement notification. Standard package really for anything built after 2046. The Ascension models had facial recognition cameras in the door handles and dashboard. The moment an unauthorized face got close, it would scan, log, and transmit to a central database. But that only worked if the cameras could see you. I wrapped a scarf around my lower face and pulled my hood up. Not unusual for a cold night, wouldn't draw attention. The scarf was special though, woven with an IR reflective material that scrambled facial recognition patterns. You could buy them online if you knew where to look, marketed as privacy wear. Looked like regular fabric, worked perfectly. The first thing I did was disable her home security hub. Not the apartment itself, just the network relay that connected her devices. It's a common setup. People link their car, their door locks, their cameras, everything to one system. Makes it convenient. Also makes it a single point of failure. I pulled up the spoofing app on my phone and scanned for her network. Found it in 3 seconds. Standard residential gateway, default security settings. I sent a firmware update ping. The hub accepted it, went into maintenance mode, and took all connected devices offline for a 90-second cycle. 90 seconds was all I needed. I walked up to the car and ran the scanner over the driver's side door handle. The phone vibrated softly. Biometric lock detected, bypass available. I tapped yes. The door unlocked. No sound, no click, just a soft release of pressure. I opened it slowly, slid into the driver's seat, and closed the door behind me. The interior smelled faintly like coffee and synthetic air fresheners. There was a bag in the passenger seat, reusable grocery tote, a water bottle in the cup holder. I didn't touch any of it. I reached under the steering column and found the diagnostic port. The cable for my phone clicked into place. The screen lit up. Scanning vehicle network. Protocol, Candlebright standard. Modules detected 15. I frowned. 15 was one more than usual. Factory security, active. Aftermarket devices, 1. I paused. Aftermarket. That wasn't on the list. Most people didn't bother with aftermarket. Factory security was good enough for most situations, and aftermarket systems were expensive. But I'd seen them before. Enhanced GPS, louder alarms, remote lockdown features that were faster than factory response times. Nothing I couldn't handle. I dealt with aftermarket systems on 3 previous jobs. They were usually poorly integrated, bolted on top of factory systems without much coordination. Made them easier to isolate and disable. I felt a small flutter of confidence. This was fine. I tapped through to the module list. Module 1, Factory GPS, active. Module 2, Factory Immobilizer, active. Module 3, Factory Remote Shutoff, standby. Module 4, Biometric Door Lock, active. Module 5, Facial Recognition Suite, active. Module 6-13, Standard Vehicle Operations. Module 14, Climate Control. Module 15, Unknown, active. Unknown. I selected Module 15 and ran an identification probe. The phone took longer than usual to respond. Finally, text appeared. Manufacturer, unregistered. Protocol, non-standard. Function, security/deterrent. Communication, isolated network. I stared at that last line. Isolated network. That meant it wasn't talking to the factory system directly. It was running parallel, watching, waiting. That was smart, actually. If it wasn't integrated with factory modules, I couldn't disable them together. I'd have to handle them separately. Fine. I'd done this before. I started with the factory systems. One by one, I sent the disable commands. Module 1, GPS, disabled. Module 2, immobilizer, disabled. Module 3, remote shutoff, disabled. Module 4, biometric lock, disabled. Module 5, facial recognition, disabled. The dashboard lit up immediately. A soft chime. The screen displayed a message in calm blue text. Unauthorized user detected. Biometric mismatch logged. Notifying registered owner. I wasn't worried. The home hub was still offline. The notification wouldn't go through. By the time I reconnected, I'd be gone. Then the text changed. Owner notification failed, initiating secondary protocol. The doors locked, all four simultaneously. A solid mechanical click that echoed in the quiet cabin. The dashboard screen updated again. Vehicle securing, routing to nearest law enforcement facility. Estimated time, 18 minutes. The car started moving. Not fast, just rolling forward. Smooth, controlled. Autonomous mode. Standard aftermarket response. If someone unauthorized gets in, lock the doors, drive to the nearest precinct, wait for officers to arrive. I exhaled slowly. This was expected. I'd been through this exact sequence twice before. The aftermarket systems had a protocol, but it wasn't aggressive. It was designed to preserve the vehicle and bring it to the authorities. Most of the time, thieves just kicked out a window and bailed before their car got anywhere near the police. But I didn't need to break anything. I just needed to convince the car I was authorized. I looked back at my phone. Module 15 was still active, still watching. I selected it and ran a deeper scan. The screen filled with data. Aftermarket security system, function, threat assessment/active deterrence. Current status, monitoring. Threat level, 2 out of 10. Compliance status, non-compliant. Escalation protocol, standby. I read that twice. Threat level. Escalation protocol. That was new. The aftermarket systems I dealt with before were just faster and louder versions of factory security. More alerts, brighter lights, maybe a siren with the added benefit of driving a thief to the police. This one was measuring me, assessing. I told myself it didn't matter. It was still just a security system, and I'd handled worse. I pulled up the override menu and sent a kill command to Module 15. Override rejected. Authentication required. I tried a different approach. Sent a diagnostic reset command. Override rejected. Tried a third option. Force shutdown via power interrupt. Override rejected. Module isolated. The dashboard screen flickered. New text appeared. Different font, sharper. Tampering detected. Threat level 4 of 10. Escalation protocol engaged. The car accelerated. Not much, just enough to notice. The route on the dashboard map changed. The estimated time dropped from 18 minutes to 14. I felt the first real edge of concern. The system was reacting to me. Not to what I was doing to the car, to what I was doing to it. I looked back at my phone. Module 15 was still active, still isolated, but now it was talking. A new line of text appeared on my screen. Aftermarket system broadcast detected. Message, user is attempting override, adjusting containment parameters. I stared at that. Containment. Not deterrence, containment. I set the phone down and tried the door handle manually. It didn't move. No give, no click, just locked. I tried the window controls. Nothing. The car had full control now. Factory systems were offline, but the aftermarket system had stepped in seamlessly. No gap, no transition, like it had been waiting for this. I picked up my phone again and opened the module scanner. Ran a full network diagnostic. The results came back quickly. Module 15, active communication detected. Receiving input from vehicle motion sensors, cabin pressure sensors, biometric seat sensors, audio monitoring. Transmitting data to onboard processor, threat assessment algorithm, containment protocol manager. It wasn't just watching the car, it was watching me. Heart rate, movement, breathing patterns. I felt my pulse quicken. The dashboard screen updated immediately. Elevated stress indicators detected, threat level 5 of 10. The car accelerated again. I forced myself to breathe slowly, to think. This was still just a system. It was sophisticated, sure, more integrated than I expected, but it was still a machine. It still had protocols and rules can be confused. I looked at the sensor data the system was collecting. Cabin pressure, motion sensors, audio monitoring. It was using all of that to build a threat profile. But sensors can be fooled. I pulled up the climate control override and sent a command to reduce cabin pressure slightly. Just enough to register a sensor error. Then I triggered a diagnostic alert for the motion sensors. Told them they needed recalibration. The phone vibrated. Sensor anomaly detected. Good. I sent another command. This one targeted the audio monitoring. Injected white noise into the feed. The system tried to compensate. Multiple sensor errors detected, running diagnostics. I kept pushing. Sent commands to every sensor I could access. Pressure, temperature, motion, audio. Flooded the aftermarket system with errors. It couldn't verify anything anymore. The dashboard screen flickered. System integrity compromised. Running fault analysis. I didn't give it time. I pulled up the biometric module I disabled earlier. Sent a command to reinitialize it with spoofed data. Told it I was Sarah Reeves. Facial scan, match. Fingerprint, match. Voice pattern, match. All fake, all generated from the phone's database. The factory system accepted it. Authorized user confirmed, disabling theft protocols. The dashboard screen changed. Factory override accepted, verifying with aftermarket module. I watched the phone screen, waiting. The aftermarket system was checking the factory data, cross-referencing. For a moment, I thought it might work. Then, biometric data inconsistent with previous scans. Spoofing detected. Threat level 6 of 10. Damn it. The car accelerated slightly. Glad I was close. The aftermarket system was trying to verify against the factory systems. That meant they were talking, even if they weren't fully integrated. If I couldn't fool it with fake credentials, maybe I could confuse it enough to shut it down. I pulled up the module control interface and sent a kill command. Not an override, not a disable, a full diagnostic shutdown. The kind of command a technician would send if they needed to remove the module for service. The phone hesitated. Then, shutdown command accepted. Module 15 offline. The dashboard screen went dark. Then it came back. Factory display. Normal. Authorized user confirmed. Theft protocols disabled. I felt the doors unlock. A soft click. The car began to slow. I watched the speed drop. 45 miles per hour. 40. 35. The steering wheel had play in it again. Not full control, but enough. I exhaled, long and shaky. I'd done it. I'd beaten the aftermarket system. For a moment, I just sat there, heart pounding, hands trembling. The car was slowing to a stop on the side of the road. I could get out. I could walk away. Or I could finish the job. Take the car, deliver it to the chop shop, get paid. $15,000. Not enough to solve anything, but enough to keep it going a little longer. I was reaching for the steering wheel when the screen changed again. Different font, red text. Backup system online. My stomach dropped. Primary module compromised. Escalating to secondary protocol. Threat level 7 of 10. No. The car accelerated. Hard. Fast. Within seconds, we were doing 60. The doors locked again. Solid. Final. All the controls were dead. The steering wheel locked in place. I grabbed my phone. Tried to reconnect to the diagnostic port. Connection failed. All ports disabled. I tried again. Access denied. The dashboard screen updated. Backup containment active. Unauthorized override detected. Subject classified as high risk. Priority, vehicle preservation. The car wasn't slowing down anymore. It was just accelerating. The route on the map changed. No police station. No destination label. Just coordinates. Outside the city. Industrial zone. I slammed my hand against the door. The screen updated. Physical contact with interior, logged. Potential damage assessment, low. Then I kicked the window, hard. The glass didn't crack, was reinforced. Physical aggression detected. Potential damage assessment, moderate. Threat level, 8 of 10. Restraint protocol, engaged. The seatbelt tightened. Suddenly. Hard. It pulled me back against the seat with enough force to knock the air out of my lungs. I couldn't move. Couldn't lean. Couldn't breathe. I stopped moving. Completely. Hands at my sides. Breathing shallow. Okay, I said out loud. Okay, I'm complying. I'm not resisting. The screen displayed. Subject vocalization detected. Compliance statement logged. Threat level 8 out of 10. Restraint maintained. The belt stayed tight. I waited. 5 seconds. 10. 15. Nothing changed. I'm not moving, I said, louder this time. I'm sitting still. I'm complying. Compliance statement logged. Threat level 8 out of 10. The number didn't go down. It just stayed there. 8 out of 10. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Lower the threat level, I said. I'm cooperating. Lower it. Verbal command not recognized. Threat level 8 out of 10. I stayed perfectly still. didn't touch anything, didn't move, just breathed. 30 seconds passed. The screen didn't change. The belt didn't loosen. The threat level stayed at 8. That's when I understood. There was no de-escalation. The system didn't have a way to go backward. It could only stay at the current level or go higher. Every action I'd taken, every override, every attempt to disable it, every moment of resistance had been logged permanently. Compliance now didn't erase what I'd done before. It just meant I wasn't making it worse in this exact moment. But the threat level wasn't about what I was doing. It was about what I had done. And you can't undo that. I felt panic rising, real panic. Not the kind you can control. The kind that makes your heart race and your breathing quicken and your hand shake. The screen updated immediately. Elevated heart rate detected. Respiratory rate increasing. Stress indicators high. Threat assessment subject remains high risk. No, I said. No, I'm just scared. That's all. I'm not going to do anything. Threat level 8 of 10. I tried to force myself to breathe slower, to calm down, but I couldn't, because I just realized something worse. Fear looked the same as aggression to the system. Panic looked the same as resistance. It was measuring my heart rate, my breathing, my body temperature, all the involuntary responses I couldn't control, and interpreting them as threat indicators. Please, I said. My voice was shaking now. Please, I'm not trying to hurt the car. I'm just scared. It's different. It's not. I stopped because I realized who I was talking to. Not a person, a system. One that couldn't tell the difference between someone preparing to attack and someone terrified of dying. I grabbed at the seatbelt with both hands. Not to escape, just because I needed something to hold on to. The belt tightened more. Subject resisting restraint. Damage probability increasing. Threat level 9 of 10. I'm not resisting, I shouted. I'm just adjusting containment method. The seatbelt released. All at once, I lurched forward. The car swerved. Hard right. I slammed into the door. Then it swerved left. I hit the center console. Back right again. My shoulder cracked against the window. The car was throwing me around, deliberately. Each swerve calculated. Not enough to flip the vehicle, not enough to cause an accident, just enough to keep me off balance, to hurt me, to make me stop. I braced myself against the seat and tried to hold on. The swerving continued. Left, right, left. I felt something in my ribs crack. Pain shot through my chest. I tried to curl up to protect myself. The car straightened out. For a moment, everything was still. Then the temperature dropped. Fast. The vents blasted cold air. Not cool. Cold. Within seconds, I could see my breath. The screen displayed climate adjustment active, discomfort escalation phase 1. My hands were already numb. I pulled my jacket tighter. It didn't help. The temperature kept dropping. Then it reversed. The cold air stopped. Hot air blasted from the vents. Not warm, hot. Within 30 seconds, I was sweating. The cabin felt like an oven. I tried to cover the vents with my hands. The air just redirected, found other vents, other angles. Discomfort escalation phase 2. I was gasping now, too hot to think, too cold before to recover. My body couldn't regulate. Then I heard it. A sound. High-pitched, piercing. The car's alarm system. But not external, internal, blasting through the speakers at full volume. I covered my ears. It didn't help. The sound was inside the cabin, bouncing off of every surface, designed to be intolerable. Audio deterrent active. Subject compliance not detected. Damage probability increasing. I screamed at the dashboard. I'll stop, just turn it off. The alarm continued. The heat continued. The car accelerated. I looked around frantically. There had to be something, some way to make it stop. I started feeling along the panels, under the seats, behind the trim. My hand hit something hard near the back of the center console. I pulled at the panel. It came free. There. A black box. Wires running into it. Sealed casing. This had to be it, the backup system. I grabbed the wires and pulled. They resisted. I pulled harder. They sparked. Came free in my hands. The alarm stopped. The heat stopped. The screen went dark. For 1 second, everything was quiet. I thought I'd done it. Then the screen came back. Different text, bright red, flashing. Critical system failure. Backup module disconnected. Final failsafe engaged. Threat level maximum. Priority complete containment. Vehicle preservation protocol authorized. No. Oh God, no. The car accelerated harder than before. 70, 80. The engine screamed. I heard a hiss from the vents. Different than before, softer. The screen displayed updated text. Atmospheric modification initiated. Cabin ventilation redirected. Air recirculation altered. I looked at the climate readout. CO2, 600 parts per million, rising fast. 700, 701, 702. I pulled my shirt over my nose and mouth. It didn't matter. You can't filter gas. You just breathe it in. The car swerved again. Not to hurt me this time, just to maintain speed through a turn. I tried the door one more time. Locked. I tried the window, reinforced. Tried to think of something, anything, but my thoughts were getting slower. Heavier. The air tasted wrong. Sweet. Chemical. The edges of my vision blurred. I slumped against the seat. My chest felt tight. My hands were numb. The screen updated. Septic vitals declining. Respiratory rate decreasing. Estimated consciousness, 60 seconds. I tried to speak, to say something, anything, but my mouth wouldn't work right. The last thing I saw clearly was the route on the dashboard. Still going, still moving, taking me somewhere I'd never see. The last thing I thought was, I pulled the pin. I triggered this. And there's no way to put it back. A system doesn't have an undo. It just finishes. My vision went dark. I felt my head drop forward. And then I didn't feel anything at all. Subject was unresponsive when the vehicle arrived at the facility. Pronounced dead at the scene. Cause of death, asphyxiation. The system rerouted engine exhaust into the cabin and deployed a sedative compound. Dosage was calculated for cargo containers, not passenger vehicles. We disabled the system. You'll get the vehicle back without it.
Okay.
Miss Reeves, do I need to be concerned that you'll reinstall something similar?
Officer, am I being charged with something?
You're receiving a citation, $4,000 fine for non-compliant equipment installation.
Fine. I'll pay it.
That's not what I asked.
Look, this was the fourth time, Officer Chen. Fourth time in 18 months. I moved here because it was supposed to be safer. Like, I can't keep doing this.
I understand.
Do you? Look, I've got to get to work. I have meetings. I have a life. I can't just sit around waiting for my car to maybe come back in one piece. Like, what am I supposed to do?
I don't have a good answer for you.
Why would someone even... I mean, it's a car. It's not worth dying over.
You want the real answer? Desperation, mostly.
What do you mean, desperation?
For this guy, most likely medical debt. The court record shows he inherited debt from the deceased parent under the Continuity Act, $4.2 million. You can't pay that back on minimum wage. Desperate people do desperate things.
4 million? Jeez. That's awful, but that doesn't justify it. The ends don't justify the means here. He was still stealing from me. He took something I worked for and something I paid for. I didn't create this situation. I didn't make him do this.
No, ma'am.
And I have a right to protect my property.
Yes, ma'am. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the record?
No.
All right. Sign here. Vehicle will be ready at impound lot C in a few hours.
The citation, the 4,000, can I pay that now, or does it need to process or something?
You can pay at the window on your way out.
Okay.
Subject name, Marcus Webb, 41 years old. Third fatality involving aftermarket deterrent systems in 4 months. Car theft rates are down 11%. I don't know if that means it's working. End of record.